Hey guys, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And it is 11:07 p.m. on Thursday, October 18th, and I have just returned home from seeing Halloween 2018. So I wanted to jump on here and do a short, spoiler-free review to just give you a few of my thoughts on the movie. And this movie has been crazy hyped for so long and so anticipated and so talked about. And I think whenever we have a movie that is so hyped up, you always run the risk of having the bar set so high that you're always going to have a few things that fall short of your expectations. And I don't think this movie is any exception. I think that there are some parts of this movie that were done exceptionally well, and then I think there were other parts of it where, for me personally, it just fell a little short. By no means bad, but just things that I would have liked to have seen maybe a little differently. But let's get into what I liked and what I didn't like. And let's remember, this movie, there were supposed to be no sequels. This is the movie that is supposed to be the follow-up to the one from 40 years ago on Halloween night 1976. So we're forgetting all the sequels, and we're just going that here we are, current day, and we have Laurie Strode, who is definitely a woman who has struggled over these past 40 years as a result of the incidents that happened to her that night. She's definitely struggled with things like agoraphobia and fears and panic, and she has also turned herself into a badass because she is not going to be a victim again, and she is just waiting for the day when Michael Myers returns. And then we have our other main character, Michael Myers, who has been institutionalized for 40 years. And the thing that I like about what they did here is he was cast perfectly. I know in some of the sequels that we're supposed to forget, his character appeared physically small and just not what you would expect Michael Myers to be. I can tell you in this one, it is a home run. He is so big and menacing, and that whole physical presence that just, it's so scary. And then when he puts that mask on, the mask is a home run. I love the mask. So the whole Michael Myers character, right down to the mask, perfectly cast, perfectly done, and everything that we want it to be. Same thing with Laurie Strode. Jamie Lee Curtis hits it out of the park. She is so good, she is so believable, and her story is so compelling. So those two together, that's what we came here to see, and that part of it really worked. Where I had an issue was really towards the more of the first half of the movie, is that we had these little weird comedic moments and a lot of clutter when it comes to characters. There were a lot of characters that just didn't really seem to have a place. They didn't really have a story. They didn't really need to be there. They didn't add anything to the main focus. And that was my issue there, because it kind of takes you out of the moment, that fear, that tension that we go to horror movies to see and to feel. And other than that, you know, you have these weird comedic moments, you have these clusters of characters that don't really kind of fit in, and so the first half of the movie feels a little bit jumbled. And really what we want to see is we want that tension and that atmosphere and that building anxiety to that big, you know, those big final moments. That's what makes those movies so good. But I can tell you, it wasn't like it was horrible. It was just little things that kind of made you feel like, I'm not, you know, I'm not petrified. I'm not feeling like I'm crawling out of my skin. As far as the gore, I mean, the kills get progressively more gory as the movie goes on. In the beginning, it's kind of like you'll see a person and then, oh, they're dead. And that's fine, because by the end of the movie, you're getting the real deal. But without going into too many details, I can tell you by the second half of the movie, things really start to pick up, and it has that Halloween vibe that we know and we love. And you have that tension, and you have that anxiety, and just that churning in your gut, that's what you go to those movies for. And again, Laurie Strode's character hits it out of the park. Michael Myers, perfectly cast. And we have that whole tension and that anxiety and just that menacing feeling, that creeping feeling that you go for, and that atmosphere that just has been what we've known to be Halloween. And that, for me, worked. So overall, I would say it was a good experience. I would have liked to have seen more focus on the Laurie character, because I think her story was really compelling. and I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a build-up with Michael and his, I guess you could call it stalking, kind of like what he did in the first one, a little more tension building and a little more anxiety inducing behavior from him as far as getting to that, you know, those final acts where, you know, we're really getting to the meat of the story. But, you know, other than that, I could have done without the comedy, but that seems to be a big thing in modern comedy, modern horror movies. They like to throw the comedy element in there, and that's fine. I mean, it wasn't horrible. It just kind of takes you out of the moment. Like, you're focused on the moment, and then, you know, you see Michael Myers standing somewhere, and you're like, you know, you're waiting for something to happen, and then you have a kid telling a weird joke, and it just kind of takes you out of the moment for a minute. But that fell by the wayside by the second half of the movie. So I would say that overall, once things got going, it was fine. So would I say to go see it? Absolutely. I think everything, like I tell you guys with everything is subjective. Movie reviews, lists, whatever, everything is subjective. And I think that if you're a fan of Halloween and you've been looking forward to this, you owe it to yourself to go see it, enjoy it for what it is, and just go and have a good time with it, because ultimately it is not a bad movie. It's just there were certain things, and again, it's because I think the bar was set so high because there was so much hype. There were just some things that, if I'm going to be nitpicky about it, that I would have liked to have seen done differently. But yeah, definitely go out, see it, check it out, have a good time with it. And if you've seen it without spoilers, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. So that's it. That's what I thought of Halloween 2018. There were things that I really, really liked, and then there were some things that I just could have done without. But yeah, ultimately I walked away, and I would say probably like a 7 out of 10 if I had to give a number score to it. So yeah, go ahead and give it a look and let me know what you think. So that's going to do it for me. It's just a short and sweet one tonight, and I'm going to be back in a day or so with my picks of the week and then a few other things I have going on for you guys. But that's going to do it for me. I'm going to go to bed now, so that's a wrap.